the depth and intensity this issue has generated. So please, any of the panel members who care to speak to those more technical issues, do so.
Well, I'm going to say something that I don't think anyone else on the panel can say, which is that while it would be optimal, I think, for symbolic reasons to have the physical papers and documents and other evidence located in the region, I think that security is a real concern. The fact that we can say, the fact that "See You in the Next War" has resonance in this room suggests that that is a foundational problem. The actual ability to see the contents of this evidence, if it's digitized, is available digitally, will be available digitally on the internet, digitized, translated, and the like, and it'll be searchable. With a zettabyte of data, no one's going to be going through it. If they really want an account of what occurred, no one's going to go through it page by page, right? They're going to have to search it digitally. So there's a symbolic issue, there's a security issue. The symbolic issue, I think, by having information centers that have very good copies of key documents that show what happened, the atrocities that occurred, maybe that can go some way towards solving that symbolic problem. And then, once again, we have the temporal issue. In the long term, having the physical documents in the region, when there is a period of clear, persistent stability, when there has been reconciliation, then it's so obvious that it has to be there.
Okay. I know the registrar wanted to say something. Please.
One sentence. We are in the process of digitizing all of our records at the ICTY.
Okay. All right. Yeah, just please, yeah.
I'm Eric Kettelaar, Professor of Archival Science at the University of Amsterdam. Of all the paper records of the ICTY, 82% is also in digital form. Of all the digital records, and especially the audiovisual digital records, there is no original, because in essence, in the digital age, the whole concept of an original is no longer valid. Because every time you read a document on the screen, it is an instanciation of what the digital format has created. So don't talk about paper archives. They are digital archives, and I fully agree that there should be a much better search mechanism, and especially the audiovisual records, because that is at present the only record where the original language can be heard and can be understood. So I am fully endorsing the ongoing digitization of the audiovisual records, and I think they should be the primary source for your outreach activities in the region.
Okay, thank you for that clarity. All right, we're winding down. Let's take a few more. We'll start over here, please.
Hi, I just want to make, my name is Emir Suljegic, and I'm here on behalf of the Mayor of Sarajevo, but I'm making this statement in both official and personal capacity. The statement "See you in the next war" was made by a citizen of Croatia, not by anybody from Bosnia, so please take that into account. Again, part of the reason we are having this tribunal is because people both from Croatia and Bosnia made statements, among other things, made statements about Bosnia's future and nature without proper consideration of their weight. And an additional point I want to make regarding the future location of the archives, I think everybody here should agree with the statements made by Minister Shimonovic. I think that down the road, we can try and find the modalities, and once there's a sort of clear, once a clean slate has been turned, we can start and talk constructively about some of the issues that are actually on the table today. But I think what we also need to tackle is a little bit of a sort of cultural neocolonialism that I see around this room in saying that we're not capable of taking care of our own history. And I think that's something that we need to take into account. I mean, these are legitimate arguments, and they should be taken into account when dealing with the archives as well. I think if you want Southeastern Europe, if you want the Western Balkans to actually be constructive and contributing members to European Union, I think you need to give them a chance to own up to their own history. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. All right. Yes, please. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry to return to the archive issue, but I think there may be a way to in which this dispute is, in fact, a dispute about nothing. I'd like to suggest that, in fact, the majority of the part of the ICTY archive that's useful for national prosecutions is already in the countries of the region. It's in the Croatian State Archive, it's in several archives in Bosnia, and it's in several archives in Serbia as well. What the ICTY has are simply copies. In the vast majority of cases, there are a few exceptions where originals were taken, but I think this is a very small number. So if the countries of the region could improve access to these things, and access, I think, is already granted as a matter of course to prosecutors coming with an appropriate request from one country to another, that would be, I think, of great assistance, and it would allow the ICTY to focus itself on those matters, those pieces of information and evidence for which it is the unique originator. Those being, I think, principally statements of ICTY witnesses, and I believe that there is already a process of contacting those witnesses and obtaining their permission to share their evidence with regional prosecutors. That could be accelerated, and I would finally urge the prosecutor's office to consider making available certain categories of its own work product. It's principally its analytical work product, things like of the category of reports that have been tendered as expert reports in trial. Some of those things that are still currently private could, I think, with minimal redaction, be made available as well. But we're talking about a much smaller quantity. So with those two steps, I think you could actually resolve this dispute without making a call as to the physical location of the ICTY.
Okay, thank you. Let's, yeah, if you hold on for one moment. A couple other hands. Let's get a couple more questions. Yeah, right in, yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody's talking about archives and materials which can be put in one place, but I'm interested in actually the greatest value of the tribunal, that are the people working in it, some more than 15 years. What are the gentlemen from Bosnia, Serbia, and Croatia are going to do to attract these people who have more value than documents which I guess never will be read? Dakle, gospodo iz Sarajeva, Zagreba I Beograda, šta mislite učiniti da privuče...
Gentlemen from Sarajevo, Belgrade and Zagreb, what are you going to do to attract these people who have gained so much experience working in the tribunal, people who know these documents better than anyone will ever learn them just by reading?
All right. And I think I'll take the liberty of broadening out a little bit that question in terms of the potential role for the staff of the ICTY in really helping preserve the legacy and enhance the legacy both in countries and internationally. We'll take one more question and then come to our panelists. Please, sir.
Yes, Jonathan Sisson, Swiss Peace Foundation. Yes, I'd like to just draw attention to one issue which hasn't been the focus thus far in this conference, namely, but is very significant, I think, with regard to the legacy of the ICTY, namely the issue of missing persons. Okay. I think, particularly in Kosovo, the ICTY was very much involved in exhumations in that country, and I think it would be worthwhile to consider this also as part of the ICTY legacy, and also perhaps reflect more self-critically about what did the ICTY accomplish in that context. There was certainly a question about the identification or false identification of bodies at that time, and it's certainly a legacy which Kosovo is still addressing at this time. So I think it would be worthwhile at some point to address that, and also perhaps in that context also to include members of the Kosovo government and civil society at any future event to look at issues perhaps specifically relevant to Kosovo, but also the broader issue of the legacy of the ICTY. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I know we have some comments. Please, Mr. Vicent. Yeah, and then Minister Simonovic.
Mislim da je jasno da od trenutka
From the moment the ICTY finishes its work, the government shall take full responsibility for cases and trials in their national courts. There's no dilemma there. What's interesting is to look at what will happen with institutions that existed within those very governments, initiated to cooperate with the tribunal, such as the National Council for Cooperation in Serbia, a similar institution in Sarajevo, and a documentation center in Banja Luka. Precisely they should remain standing in another form, perhaps, because they have, over the past decade, shown and proven their efficiency in working with and cooperating with the tribunal, and I believe they will continue to cooperate with national courts in judicial proceedings. I'm saying this especially with a view to the cooperation these institutions provided in the work of the tribunal, in the very complex job of obtaining important documents from various archives. And as someone says here, it's true that the largest part of what we call the archives of the ICTY are just copies of what is contained in the archives of the states in the region. And again, we have to make these materials more accessible to defense teams and all other parties.
Concerning archives and the difference between copies and original. The difference is ownership. And that's the reason why so many victims' organizations are interested in originals. I'm coming also from a country where victims' organizations and authorities are interested in the issue. So during the lunch break, I was called by Minister of Culture, and he asked me, did you announce that we would be glad in getting archives and that we would take good care of them? Before that, I was contacted by Mayor of Dubrovnik saying, you know, Dubrovnik is an ideal place.